Good evening. Yes, it is evening. Professor Rosemary Bell-Antoine, Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal, University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus. Virtually, the Honorable P.J. Patterson, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. Distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, Professor Derek Chady, the Deputy Principal, and other members of the Campus Executive Management Team. Professor Krisha Marcano, in some jurisdictions, Masano, Dean of Theatre, Boston Conservatory at Berklee, welcome. Heads are the senior members of staff of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus, representatives of the Guild Executive Council and other students of the University St. Augustine Campus, specially invited guests, and fellow members of the arts and culture community, our online viewing audience, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jesselyn Murray. I am a senior lecturer in music here at the university and a deputy distance for distance and outreach at the Faculty of Humanities and Education. And it is my great delight and joy to welcome you today to the 4th Rex Nettleford Distinguished Lecture, please. This particular initiative, having the lecture here, was championed heavily by our campus principal, and we're delighted to acknowledge her efforts and her team in this particular matter, campus principal. So we have a lovely evening ahead. So I'd like to welcome virtually the Honorable P.J. Patterson, Percival James Patterson, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, who will introduce this evening's lecture on behalf of the Rex Nettleford Foundation. Kindly direct your attention to the screen.
Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal Bell-Antoine, Professor Marcano, UWI faculty and staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the 4th Annual Rex Nettleford Distinguished Lecture on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Rex Nettleford Foundation. The foundation was created in May 2010 after his passing to ensure that Professor Nettleford's immense and rich legacy would live in perpetuity. To this end, the foundation established the Rex Nettleford Distinguished Lecture Series, which is in keeping with inward stretch, outward reach, as expounded in one of his later works that explore the need to move our own understanding of ourselves to a global level. These lectures are held on a different campus each year. Today, we meet at the St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago, not only to honor the memory of Professor the Honorable Ralston Nettleford, one of the Caribbean's most celebrated intellectuals and cultural visionaries, but also to continue the tradition of critical reflection and public dialogue that he championed throughout his life. Over the course of his immensely rich career as an educator, trade unionist, dancer, choreographer, artistic director, diplomat, vice chancellor, and global humanitarian, he reaped accolades both at home and abroad, certainly for his brilliant scholarship and artistic talent, but also for his clarity of vision about the region, our people, and their indisputable right to a special place on the world stage. He was courageous and persuasive in his defense of the validity and significant influence of Caribbean culture globally. Professor Nettleford believed deeply in the power of ideas to transform societies. He challenged us to understand ourselves, to value our cultural heritage, and to engage confidently with the wider world. This lecture series seeks to preserve that mission by providing a forum where important issues can be explored with rigor, imagination, and purpose. It is most fitting that this lecture seeks to focus on an area which so fully reflects the cause and excellence of a Renaissance man as founder, artistic director, and king of the dance. It is worthy of note that the NDTC is a foundation partner of our Nettleford Trust. We look forward with keen anticipation to Professor Marcano's lecture entitled Dancing the Nation into Being, Art, Agency, and the Caribbean Imagination. Her exemplary body of work has demonstrated a sustained commitment to academic excellence, intellectual rigor, and meaningful impact. The Rex Nettleford Foundation wishes to thank Professor Marcano for contributing to this ongoing conversation and helping us advance the ideals that Professor Nettleford so passionately upheld. Thanks again also to the Pro-Vice Chancellor and the St. Augustine campus for graciously agreeing to host and organize this event. I want to extend a special appreciation to you, our esteemed guests, for joining us as we celebrate a legacy of scholarship, creativity, leadership, and mission. May this evening inspire thoughtful discussion and renewed commitment to the advancement of our Caribbean region and its people. Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal Belantoine, Professor Marcano,
Just a quick reminder to persons who have mobile devices, if you kindly would check now to ensure that they're either on silent or off, or you left them at home. So thank you to the Honorable P.J. Patterson for the warm words of welcome to honor the memory of Rex Nettleford. We now invite to the stage Toran McKellar, Jade Bishop, and Kyla Perkins, who are all students of the dance program at the Department of Creative and Festival Arts at the University of the West Indies at St. Augustine. And they will present the piece, Oh Joy, choreographed by Joanna Charles, who is a full-time instructor in dance at the DCFE. We welcome them to the stage.
This is where the wild hearts belong.
Thank you, Toron, Jade, and Kyla for the splendid evocation of the spirit of Rex Nettleford. What a better way. We couldn't have started in any other better way than that. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And to Joanna Charles for the choreography. And now, the moment. The reason why we're here this afternoon is to welcome back home Professor Krisha Marcano. And delighted to say that Professor Marcano, born in New York City, raised in Trinidad, Krisha Marcano received a BFA in dance at the State University of New York at Purchase and spent the first 8 years of her career in dance companies like the Michael Mao Dance Company, the Martha Graham Dance Company, and the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Krisha then transitioned to Broadway, and for the next 17 years, she was pleased to perform in several great Broadway hits, including Fosse, the musical, first national tour, Elton John and Tim Rice's Aida, Sweet Charity, originating the role of Squeak in Oprah's 2005 production of The Color Purple, and Motown, the musical, both on Broadway and the first national tour. In 2008, Krisha received a commendation from the City of New York, Office of the Comptroller, for her lasting contributions to the Caribbean American community and New York City. While on Broadway, Krisha volunteered a career transition for dancers as the co-chair of the business group, and in 2016, as if that wasn't enough, she got an MBA in entrepreneurship, a lesson for all of us here who are in the arts, business. She then made another pivot into arts education as the Associate Professor of Theatre Dance and Assistant Dean for Student Affairs and Entrepreneurial Studies at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, the School of Drama. In 2016, Krisha created the Artistry Center, LLC, to continue serving her community by teaching entrepreneurial, and artistic wellness to the arts and entertainment industry. She's currently on a pause for an EMBA from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. In July 2024, Krisha became the Dean of the Theater Division at Boston Conservatory at Berklee. In the last year and a half, Krisha has established a Theater Innovation Fund to raise money for curricular and capital projects. She has redesigned the musical theater BFA curriculum. She has begun phasing out the contemporary theater program and established a virtual showcase alongside the live showcase for the senior class. Krisha has a great many innovative ideas for the conservatory and arts education, and she looks forward to the coming years at Boston Conservatory at Berklee. We are looking forward to her address this evening at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Please join me in welcoming Professor Krisha Marcano.
Well, my first question was, who is that? You sound so great. Who's she? Oh, we're up. Great. All right, here we are. Hi, everybody. I just want to take you in for a second. I just want to breathe you in. I can't believe I'm here. I mean, I can believe I'm here. Here we are. But I can't believe I'm here. And it's so, you know when somebody introduces you and you're like, wow, oh, that's nice. But there's a veil, because the things you've done, it's not really who you are. It's the things you've done, but it's not really who you are. It's not all that you are. It's not your own identity. It's not just who you are. It's just a piece of you. Good evening, everyone. To the Vice Chancellor, the leadership of the Rex Nettleford Foundation, the distinguished faculty of the University of the West Indies, honored guests, members of the audience, my colleagues in the performing arts, the brilliant students that are the future of our region. Who are the students in the audience? Are there students in the audience? I mean, we're all students, let's be honest. But to my family and friends in the audience who have seen me through thick and thin, here we are. Good evening and thank you. I was born in Queens, New York, but I was raised here. My parents are Trinidadian. My family still lives here. Shout out to Maracas, Trinidad, St. Joseph, Tacarigua, Trin City, San Fernando. Pour out a little bit from my homies. My ear was trained here. My rhythm was trained here. My understanding of excellence, humor, faith, survival, love was trained here. Long before I understood and stood on a Broadway stage, long before I led in educational institutions, long before I had titles, I belong to this place. I belong to this region. And because I belong to this region, I learned something early that I didn't quite know how to put into words. I didn't quite know at the time what to call it. But then I realized a lot later in life that I didn't grow up with art. I didn't grow up with art around me. Neither did you. The truth is, I grew up in art. I grew up inside of art. We grew up inside art. We are art. And not every society in the world can say that. Not every country in the world can say that. Not every community can say that. In fact, there are societies in the world that are trying to deliberately, consciously sever and create an environment where that is not happening. And we breathe it. I trained in the Caribbean School of Dance, right here. Shout out, shout out. Shout out Noble Douglas. The master, hallelujah. Where the teachers put their hands on my shoulders and said, your body is your instrument, and your instrument is sacred. I carried the truth to the State University of New York at Purchase. I carried it around the world on stages that were fabulous, fantastic, around the world in places. I could probably name the places that I've never been faster than I could name the places that I have. I've carried it on the Broadway stage. I've carried it through concert dance, through musical theater dance, singing, acting, originating work, through my educational career, part-time, adjunct, full-time, University of North Carolina School of the Arts, my very first full-time educational environment where I now had to give it back and then take it back, give it back, they gave it back to me, give it back, they gave it back to me, was the first time I realized that my art was even more than for me and people I didn't know in the audience, 2,000, 6,000 strong, but an act of service in such a personal, very personal way. And it was food. I became more of a service provider than I ever thought I was going to be. And then I became the dean of Boston Conservatory at Berklee. And now I slay dragons. And tonight I bring it home and I take it with me, renewed, newborn, because of this moment. Rex Nettleford understood better than almost anyone that when a Caribbean body moves, it's not just dancing. It's making an argument, it's making a joke, it's reciting poetry, it's poetry in movement, reinforced by our resistance, resolve, writing history. It's creating a nation. Tonight, I want to talk you through that argument, how art has always been the most honest language the Caribbean has spoken, how our artists are nation builders and economy engines, not barely entertainers, and why the time has come for our institutions and governments and investors in this region to level up. The body as archive. Rex Nettleford wrote that the body is the first instrument of culture. He believed and spent his life proving the Caribbean dance is neither derivative nor secondary to European forms. It is original. It was the most radical sense, in its most radical sense, revolutionary. Why? Think of enslaved Africans. They came to these shores, sometimes to be broken, on their way to other places. They didn't have their language, they didn't have their faith, they didn't have their music, they didn't have anything else, but they had their bodies. It was the only thing they had at times, and it became the only way they could hold on to who they were. And so, Bele, and so, Shango, and so, Mokojombi, and so, the one I can't do, Jesus, Limbo, Lord have mercy. My mind, my consciousness blocked it out. So in that memory, and this is just Trinidad, and this is just where we began. This is not even the region. You know, this is, every Caribbean island has a version of this. Every Caribbean island has its own version of people that came from, created, influenced by the diaspora of, I mean, it's a callaloo. It's a stew. We're a stew. We are the innovation. We are where it comes, where it morphs, where it cooks, where it begins. And we're still here. We always say that art is about to die. People are about to kill art. Art is, well, they're coming for art. They're not going to fund it. Nobody funds it anymore. It's about to die. It's not about to die. It's about to pivot. It's about to change. It's about to become the diamond under the pressure. Just wait. Why artists? Why now? To speak the name of Rex Nettleford is to speak a shadow of extraordinary breadth. He was a scholar, a dancer, a choreographer, a public intellect, an institution builder, and he refused the false separation between intellect and embodiment, between scholarship and culture, between excellence and service. That refusal remains radical, and we should inherit it. Let me read that again, shall we? He refused the false separation between intellect and embodiment, between scholarship and culture, between intelligence and service. And that refusal remains radical. Why? And we should inherit that. He understood something that too many systems still fail to understand, that art is not separate from nationhood. That culture is not decoration, that identity must be cultivated. Artists create meaning. They preserve memory. They translate pain into form. They are not ornamental to society. Artists are infrastructure, not symbolic infrastructure, real infrastructure. Roads move bodies, infrastructure. Art moves consciousness. Hospitals heal injuries. Art heals fragmentation. Schools transmit information. Art teaches interpretation and sophistication, empathy, love, voice. And why does this matter now? Especially because artificial intelligence and automation force every society to ask, what remains uniquely human? And the answer is not productivity. And so before I continue, I ask you, what do you think, because I have a few things that I think remains ultimately human. What do you think remains ultimately human? Anyone? In this time of automation and AI. Anybody have any ideas on what will remain ultimately human? Anybody? What was that? Dance. But what about dance? Because they're making robots dance now. Creativity. Originality. Empathy. Passion. Relationships. Connectivity. Feelings. Meaningfulness. Give me two more. Huh? The body, the fleshness, the flesh of it, imagine. Caring. You know, all of those things they used to say in business, well, those are soft skills. What are your hard skills? Those are the things that only about 3 seconds ago were not transferable skills. Those were not celebrated. Here we are. Change your resumes. The answer is, in my opinion, imagination, interpretation, embodiment, ethics, presence, uncertainty, being able to live in ambiguity. These are all artistic capabilities and capacities. Artists know how to hold contradiction, to rehearse with uncertainty, to fail publicly and keep creating, to collaborate across differences. Those are not niche skills. These are what? Leadership skills. The real question is, why are artists still excluded from leadership at the precise moment leadership needs artistic intelligence? The Caribbean imagination today. I hope I got this right. I don't think it's a quote. I think I didn't remember it correctly. I don't think I remembered it correctly, but please, please correct me. When Derek Walcott accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1992, he said the Caribbean is defined not by its historical wounds, but by its capacity for renewal. That the fragments of culture and memory that arrived on these shores did not need to be lamented. They needed to be assembled into something new. And that is the Caribbean imagination. And I want to be clear about something tonight, that it's not a relic. It's not something that we need to talk about as a past tense. It is alive and it is growing today in this country and in this region. I want to take this moment that usually in keynotes they don't acknowledge. I have not been here actively in the community. I come here to sleep. My family knows. I come here when I have less. I'm in minus. I'm in a minus. I tell my friends I have to go, or no one is safe. I have to go to the baptismal waters of the Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad of the Caribbean Sea to fill up with gas. Or if I don't, you all are all not safe. I need a doubles now. I need a bacon shack right now. If I don't, not my fault. So I have not been here to be a part of. So I have missed the progress. It has been surface for me because you have been my triage. But to do this, I had to do research to see what I've missed. And I have to say, I've missed a lot. To actually name what is happening today, because Trinidad has changed since I was a girl, training here, I need to celebrate it for 2 seconds. In dance, the Coco Dance Festival, Mr. Mas, started with 4 choreographers in 3 weeks. Now let me know if this is right. With 3 weeks notice in 2009. And now is the largest annual contemporary dance festival in the English-speaking Caribbean. The Caribbean School of Dance, which shaped me, now houses Metamorphosis Dance Company, still under Nancy Herrera's direction. Is that true? Still, yes. Great. Training the next generation of professionals. In theater, Playwrights Workshop Trinbago is producing new Trinidadian scripts every year through the New Play Festival. New playwrights, new stories, written here for here. Is that correct? Good. In film, Film TT introduced this region's first real production tax rebate in 2025. Up to 30% of 30% of, what is it? Yes, production costs, rebate, that's right. And the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival turns 20 years old this September. Is that correct? All right. That is amazing. 20 years of telling our story on our terms. Do you know how many people cannot say that they are telling their own story? There are a lot of societies on this planet that can say that they are not in charge of telling their own story. I could tell you stories, but that's a bottle of wine. This is not a region waiting to have a creative industry. This is a region with one, but it's still under-resourced, still under-connected, but unmistakably alive. The work now is not to invent the Caribbean imagination. It is to build the infrastructure worthy of what already exists so that the region can what? Level up. Your art is good business. The economics of culture. Now let's talk about money. But I do want to say that your art is good business is the tagline of the Artistry Center, my company, where I teach artistic wellness, financial wellness, and wellness. And I should just say, just go to Trinidad, because that's where I wellness. I am an MBA, and I have my EMBA on pause at the moment because I'm a new dean at Boston Conservatory, so I wanted to focus, but I will be picking that up again. And I'm here to tell you that the argument that art cannot be a serious economic investment is a myth, and that myth has cost, in my opinion, has cost the Caribbean dearly. Globally, the creative economy generates more than $2.25 trillion annually and employs over 29 million people. Broadway alone generates roughly $14 billion in a year in economic activity for New York City. Not just ticket sales or a taxi driver or the restaurant, food and beverage, hotels, flights for the diaspora. The arts are not a silo. They are an ecosystem. Every dollar invested is in an artist is a multiplier, an across effect for the entire community. And I think we know that, but we have to go even further. We have so much more that we can do. We have not scratched the surface. Here is the part that I can say plainly, and it comes through something personal. When I left Trinidad, the industry was in the United States or in England, an industry that I can see myself in, alongside, adjacent to, against, and I can ask informed questions because I knew the length and breadth of it. When things got hard, I had a choice. I was privileged. I could go live somewhere else. But I couldn't come home. That somewhere else didn't have an industry that I could ask informed questions to. And that is what I want for every artist in this country and in this region. And we have the capacity, and we're well on our way. And what I'm here to do is ask for even more. I know, right? So here's the harder question underneath all of that. Now that the region has real institutions dedicated to arts education, what happens after graduation? What was that? You get a what? Work in a bank. Where do the dancers, actors, designers, filmmakers go when they leave these programs? Where is the demand waiting for the supply of trained artists in this region that the region produces every year? Are we teaching arts education and arts business in tandem, or are we still sending brilliant graduates into the world, only half equipped? This is where I believe we're leaving money and opportunity on the table. Not due to a lack of talent, but due to a lack of connective tissue. Imagine if dance, theater, vocal arts, film, television, fashion, visual art, and our culinary traditions, some of these things are already being done, but are linked regionally instead of competing for the same small pool of funding in isolation. Imagine Caribbean institutions building academic, industry, and artistic partnerships with the rest of the world on equal footing, not just a farm system for other people's stages. Uh-oh. This is the next level. Not whether the Caribbean has talent, because plainly it does. The question is whether we will finally build the infrastructure that lets the talent stay, circulate, travel, tour, and thrive at home. I want to talk directly to the students here, or the students listening, or the students on YouTube later. You're not choosing a difficult path. You're choosing a necessary one. Artists and entrepreneurs have far more in common than society gives us credit. You begin with nothing and create something from it. You iterate, fail, ideate, try again, read the room, adapt in real time, and then you move people to buy, to listen, to come back, to wear, to think, to feel, to watch, to read. That is exactly what an entrepreneur does. But the difference is we have not been teaching our artists to see themselves in this way. In fact, we haven't been teaching our entrepreneurs that they're artists. We have to understand that our careers are companies, and that you are a CEO. Entrepreneurship at its best is creativity organized. It is learning how value moves, how to build intellectual property, how to negotiate personalities, and how to own what you make. And when a Caribbean dancer understands IP law, they understand how to protect choreography. When a Caribbean playwright understands a grant proposal, they can fund a work that a community needs. These are not business skills that contaminate art. You do not have to choose. These are liberation skills. I earned an MBA not because I stopped believing in art, but because I believed in it so completely that I refused to let it stay vulnerable. I refused to not be free. And that is what I want for everyone. What leaders must do now? So, to the ministers, policymakers, and institution leaders in the room, I have 5 priorities. Fund arts education early as fundamental learning, not extracurricular luxury. And I say luxury. It's a necessity. Build a creative economy policy that measures jobs, exports, and intellectual property the way we measure any other industry, so that we can track it. Because if we don't know what's happening, then we don't know what to build next. Train artist entrepreneurs by embedding businesses and ownership into arts training from day one. Build regional pipelines, touring networks, co-productions, exchange programs, so talent can circulate around the Caribbean instead of only leaving it. I think that's being done. But let's organize. And put artists in decision rooms, not only on stages, but on boards, in ministries, in planning commissions. If artists can shape national identity, then they belong in national strategy. And to the diaspora listening tonight, wherever you are, use your bridge position. Bring back resources, networks, knowledge, investment, and belief. Diaspora success that never reconnects becomes private again. Diaspora success that circulates becomes regional power. And finally, a letter home. I want to end with something personal. When I was a girl training in the Caribbean School of Dance, I didn't fully understand what was being given. I didn't fully understand that I loved to move, and that something was happening to my body when music played, and I couldn't explain it in words. I didn't understand yet that those feelings were not just mine, they were my ancestors. They were my family. They were you. It was the mango tree in the back. Yeah? It was the cashew tree on the side. It was my grandfather saying, listen, we seasoning chicken. I need some chive and some shadow benny and some. It was you. It was here. It was parang. It was San Jose Serenaders. It was calypso. It was also finding the divine. I don't know how to put this into words, so I couldn't write it down. But I tell my students all the time, you have to figure out how to get to a place where you say you love this, but why? To what end? Is it for you? What are you going to use it for? And so what? Great. Now what? You want to be on Broadway. Why? Then what? Strategically plan. What are you going to use that for? To what end? Is it selfish? This too will end, so then what? And I found that at around 8, I found I was full. My sewing machine was high. And I tell my students that somehow I know that I know that I know. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know with who, I don't know how, I don't know past the horizon. But I know that I know that I know. And so dance was my Maserati. I was never born with a Pinto. I was born with a Maserati. I don't know if you have a Ford or a Pinto or what, but I was born with a Maserati. And I hope that everybody in here, whatever you're passionate about, I hope you feel that whatever that is, you were born and you came here with a Maserati about it. And you know that you know that you know. And that no one can ever take away from you. And you're passionate about it and you're going to let everybody know. No, and everybody that's ever met you knows it about you. Am I making sense? And that I got here. And that is my divine. I got that God here. And God lives within me. We made a pact a long time ago. We tight. And so coming back here is full circle in a way that makes me full. It makes me grounded. It makes me determined, and it makes me strong today. Because yesterday, I felt diminished. And today, I'm ready. I still need a doubles though. To the students here, your art is not a backup plan. Study it with everything you have, but also study the world around you. Learn the business. Build the infrastructure. Protect your work. To everyone in this room, the Caribbean has been dancing itself into being for 500 years. The body has remembered. The rhythm has continued. The art has survived, and as I've seen with my own two eyes on my way home this week, it is no longer merely surviving, it is growing. The time has come for it to thrive. Because the most renewable resource in this region is our students, the time has come to invest in arts education in a way that we have never seen before. Honor that choice, fund that choice, build the institutions, make it sustainable. The nation, the art is being. Here we are. Are we committing today or not? Are we committing today or not? I'm here, I'm committing today. Are we committing today or not? Thank you, and God bless Trinidad and Tobago.
Please stay. Please. After that brilliant and spine-tingling address, we'd like to invite our campus principal to make her way to the stage to make a presentation to Professor Marcano.
My name on it. It's great. And I think now we have moments for a Q&A. What time is it? Time check. How much? Yeah? Hit me. And we will be erased. Fantastic. I think we should also, I'll just run around so that everybody can hear the, you're gonna, okay, great. So everybody can hear the question. We need public policy, we need governmental policy, we need local policy, we need regional policy on IP laws. We're late, we're behind the curve already, as you've indicated. But as far as AI goes, sort of generally, we need to be at the table and we need to know how to use it in order to see it fully. We cannot ignore it and we cannot not use it, we cannot not be at the table, we have to engage in it. It's just like, remember, musicians. Are there musicians in the house? Remember what people said about the drum machine? Right? And that at Patches, it's going to kill music. It's going to kill drummers. We're never going to have drummers again. We have drummers, right? The computer, typewriters, yeah. Now let's multiply that by 100. I understand that, right? This is not quite the same threshold for sure, but that doesn't mean that everybody, death is not on the table. And death is not on the table because we say so. Right? Death is on the table because we what? There we go. Next. Wonderful. Oh, no, okay. Oh, they're recording, so you need. Can we pass it down?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name?
Shanice Williams.
Hi, Shanice.
Hi. My question would be, how do we keep the Caribbean market, and not only the Caribbean market, but the audience, engaged in classical arts that they don't necessarily understand, or something that's more foreign to them, as in like opera, classical music, or even modern dance?
So I'm a modern dancer by heart, Martha Graham, Alvin Ailey, so I know, I'm there, right? That's why art has to be in education, and education from young. History. We have to teach it in school, not just the European arts, but everything, so that they understand, so that students and children understand the importance of that and us. Not just them, not just us. It can't be either or, it has to be yes and. That's how we create audiences. We create not everybody is going to turn out to be a professional. But if everybody learns the importance of it and learns to love it, learns the value of it, learns what they like, what they don't like, and why, most important, the why, then we create audiences. Because institutions always want to know, how are we going to create audiences? How are we going to create audiences? Well, they're late. You're already late. You create audiences by information and by giving education. People have to find things they love and don't love, and they have to understand why they don't like it or why they do like it. They don't have to engage in it professionally in order to be an audience member. They have to find value.
Thank you.
Yes. Here?
So you touched on value.
Hi, value. What's your name?
Chantal.
Hi, Chantal.
I am nowhere close to the arts. I just found this to be a very interesting conference. I decided to come, and I tagged my mom and my sister along.
Hi, Mom. Hi, sister.
Right, so back to value. So it's dancing the nation into being. We need to create an audience that sees the value in the arts. How do we organically or even deliberately do that when we still have a nation that wants doctors and lawyers and teachers coming out of the education system? How do we get those people, well, me, to see I do see the value, but how do we get persons who aren't of the arts in the arts seeing that value, because there really is value in it.
Well, I know. Provocative question. I'm going to try to make this not as provocative as I would like to make it. Okay, here we go. Change the narrative about it. It is a complete culture shift. You know how people talk about, well, you know, we just have to change the culture in the office. You know, the school culture is just so, it's just so toxic. You know what I mean? It's a culture that needs to change. It's the way, first of all, artists have to change how we speak about ourselves. We have to see our value and the way we talk about ourselves, so that when we are spoken about with less value, we say, excuse you. And then they go, wait a minute, is that, huh? The whole thing has to change. Well, that is a tall glass of water. I don't even know where to begin. But that is actually what needs to happen. It needs to be spoken about differently. The questions have to be different. The education has to be different and has to be spoken about as if the other thing never happened. Like I tell my clients all the time, speak about it like it was inevitable, like it is inevitable. That's how you manifest. You know that you know that you know, done, start packing. Yeah? Because if we don't think that we are worthy, how am I going to make sure that you do? If we don't think that we deserve to be paid a living wage, how am I going to think that you do? But I know that I do, but I also don't know how to ask, because I was not trained to have the language in order to. I had to fail and succeed and pull myself up and train myself how to, without mentorship. And then I decided, that's it, no more. Not on my watch. Now I am training. Now I'm training. Now I'm training leaders. Now I'm training missionaries. I'm training monsters now. You know what I mean? But that's the only thing I can do. Everybody now has to do that. Every teacher, every principal, every professor, everybody. An artist as entrepreneur, artist as leader, artist as activist, artist as, that needs to be a whole curriculum. But if it's baked in to society, then we won't have to call it anything anymore. It'll just be. But we have to start somewhere. Yes. Right behind you.
I can speak into the microphone. Hi, I'm Sue-Ann Barrett. I am a lecturer at the UE, at the Institute for Gender and Development Studies.
Gender Development Studies. Round of applause.
Oh, thank you so much. I was just, from what you just said, and contemplating that you said that we are of the nation, artists of the nation, it's coming through us. We have a strong cultural intelligence that informs our creativity across the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, in all of our art forms. Yet, we still grapple with the politics of reach and recognition. And I really would welcome your musings on how we find a greater balance, that the thing reach, it's worthy of the money, the entrepreneurship, if you have reach and recognition, though that deep sense of what is valued and valuable rests right here.
Yeah. Well, behind you. Oh. Two-pronged question.
So to underscore what Sue-Ann said, so there's the cultural intelligence, there's not the cultural confidence. So the cultural confidence will allow you to do the things that you are talking about, right? Inside of an ecology, And so, again, to what Suan is saying, what are some of the things that we can do that would nurture, celebrate, right? Because sometimes I deal a lot with artists, and it's like, okay, they're problematic.
Yes.
They're problematic, right? So that is part of the narrative that needs to change. But they're really standing up for their value. But what does the rest of society think about them standing up for their value, right? Do we pay them on time? Do we pay them enough? So this notion of value, as it's connected to cultural confidence and cultural intelligence, I really welcome your musings on that as part of an ecology that can work systematically to change and transform this place, this region. Leading first, as Lloyd Best said, when we start with culture, we start strong. We could deal when we start with culture. But do we know that?
Yeah. So ecology is the word that I would pull out there. The ecology, we're talking strata, right? So we're talking the artist, we're talking all of the people that work with that artist, all of the institutions, and then we're talking on the country level, then we're talking the regional level, each country, and then regionally. The whole ecology needs to be addressed. That is a tall, tall order. And what needs to happen, it's not just, because the Ministry of Arts and Culture in each country has enough work. So let's start there. Who is the one person that is attempting to listen, and create the connective tissue between each ministry and each country? What does each country need in order to collaborate just here? Then in the country, what does each institution need to collaborate? Then educationally, what does each institution need? Then what does each company need? Then what do the artists need? The connective tissue, somebody needs to be doing that. Everybody doesn't have the time. And that's the one thing we can't make, not Jesus. You know what I mean? So there's a job that is not being, we don't have that person that's doing that. Organically, but indeed, organically, yes. But it needs to be deliberate. The time has come. The time has come. It feels like, and when I say feels like, it's because I'm not here. I can't speak informed on, but it feels like it's not deliberate. It's organic, but it's bursting at the seams. And that's a great place to be. It means it's time to go to the next level. And this pressure that we're feeling means wonderful time to pay attention to that pressure, because a diamond is being made. Don't make it a negative thing. The time has come to something needs to be done, because there's an ecosystem that needs to be addressed.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Alette Liz Williams.
Hi.
I am the president of the National Dance Association of Trinidad.
Well, hello, President of the National.
And I'm
National
sitting
Dance
next
Association.
to my mentor and the previous president of the National Dance Association, Miss Imelda Lynch Griffith.
Miss?
Imelda Lynch Griffith.
Please stand. Please,
Yes,
round of
please.
applause. Please stand. Come on. Yes.
Yes. An icon in her own right here in
Icon.
Trinidad and Tobago. And so I am listening to everything, and something that always gets to me with artists is storytelling, right? And I think sometimes there's a challenge with getting the story out in a clear way for people to buy in on a whole. But I also find here that there is a story that happens between history and innovation. And there's always this little riff in between. who wants to hold on to the purity of where we are, who we are, what our identity even is, so that we know how to innovate. And I want to know, how is it possible to approach that they work almost like a dance, literally, rather than what I've often seen, especially at least in the dance community, just these silos, right? So modern is modern, but you would have infusions when shows come, but there's always this underlying conversation of keeping who we are, what's our identity, keeping the traditional, and then they're doing modern classical. And then, so we look fragmented when we try to tell the story to the people to see our value.
Okay, let me ask, I need to ask some clarifying questions.
Sure.
So are you saying that in the dance community here,
Yeah.
people have identities? Or
Yes.
people are putting people in identity boxes?
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
one, or both?
So I think the younger ones see that they are already like set identities.
Yes.
And possibly want to shift that because we love dance. We love everything
Yes.
that's dance, you know? But when it comes to a show,
Yes.
you see a distinct, it's very, very distinct.
Mm.
So to give you context, right now, the Dance Association is trying to put the community together. We're building workshops that bring extremes together. But it's not out yet, so everybody here is getting a teaser,
Oh.
right? So like one would be hip hop with limbo.
Yes.
So you appreciate the technique, the form, the story, why this dance is done the same way, how we are athletic differently, but at the same time, similar. I still am, because so busy, still am challenged with how does this story go beyond the clique and the NGO and the voluntary work to the people who could fund it. I'm being very honest. There's so much to do. I am stuck with that story.
Okay. Check me out.
Yeah.
Follow me. Because this is going to be a stream. It's just a stream of consciousness. I'm just going to keep talking.
Okay.
When we were taught dance, we were taught in boxes. And now the people that are funding learned it with us in boxes. The natural evolution is that it no longer lives there. Time has passed, and it's no longer that way. Pause, put a pin in that. African is a technique, not a style. We were never taught that. African is a fundamental dance like ballet is. Concept. Okay? African is as basic a technique and foundational as ballet is, in my opinion. And I have to say the caveat of in my opinion because people will rake me over the coals. Concept. Don't get me wrong. I believe in the bar because only about a week ago I was lost and I had to go home, and the first thing I did was go to the bar and took a deep breath because I had to go home. But that has nothing to do with the fact that we have to give our props to African. But nobody got that information, and we black. Hele? So let's put a pin in that. So we have to change the narrative on that. Time. When you're doing a show of change, are you bringing the people that are funding or the people that are influence, value-added people into the rehearsal room so they get a sneak peek, so they get a marketing marketing moment, it's an innovation moment that they need to see, branded as such, yeah? So you bring them along with the story. Don't just say, this is what we're doing, and they don't understand. Bring them along with the story. Bring them along with the change with you. Don't just, because it's already been been done, but you didn't bring them with you. So start bringing them with you before the show and have them be your ambassadors of the new. Yeah? Create audiences that way. There's a lot more, but time. My brain's on fire now. I email you stream of consciousness. Okay, sorry.
I feel like we need a whole workshop. You all don't feel that way? Yeah. So, principal. All right, thank you so much for that very invigorating discussion. I think it's unfinished and it's to be continued. But we have very short moments, so we could continue outside at cocktails. But it is now my pleasure to introduce Joshua Gocharan, who is now going to sing for us, This is the Moment. Joshua, over to you.
This is the moment. This is the day when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now, today. This is the moment, this is the time, the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this precious chance. I'll gather up my past and make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of the dreaming, scheming and screaming become one. This is the day. See it sparkle and shine when all I've lived for becomes mine. For all these years I faced the world alone, and now the time has come to prove to them I've made it on my own. This is the moment, my final test. Destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. I won't look down, I must not fall. This is the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment, damn all the odds. This day or never, I'll sit forever with the gods. When I look back, I will always recall, moment for moment, this was the moment, the greatest moment of them all.
Thank you, Joshua. I'm running back and forth. And I came here just to reintroduce Dr. Suzanne Burke, who is the head of the Department of Literary, Cultural, and Communication Studies, the LCCS, who will now officially come to take her place to deliver the vote of thanks. Dr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this evening's Rex Nettleford Distinguished Lecture, Dancing the Nation into Being, I want to shout out Dr. Joanne Tull, who came up with the title. Dancing the Nation into Being, Art Agency and the Caribbean Imagination. It is my honor to extend thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. Firstly, we wish to thank Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, Pro Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, whose decision it was for St. Augustine to host this year's lecture series. Thank you, Principal. We also acknowledge that none of this would have been possible without the vision of the Rex Nettleford Foundation, who originated the Distinguished Lecture Series, represented here today by the Honorable P.J. Patterson, whose remarks reminded us of the importance of honoring distinguished Caribbean talent. To the members of the Diplomatic Corps, we thank you for your presence and for recognizing the importance of cultural and intellectual exchange in shaping our region. We also acknowledge Professor Derek Chady, Deputy Principal, and other members of the campus executive management team whose support ensures that events of this caliber continue to enrich our academic community. To our keynote speaker, Professor Krisha Marcano, thank you so much for your brilliant and inspiring lecture. Your insights have illuminated the potent intersection of art, agency, entrepreneurship, imagination in building and sustaining Caribbean identities, whether here in the region or in our diaspora. It was a fitting tribute to Professor Nettleford's body of work and underscored his enduring legacy of art. Art that honors ancestral memory, art that spurs on activism, and art that inspires hope, joy, and I want to add wealth. I didn't have that in the thing, but I write it down. Special thanks to the marketing and communication and logistic teams, Winnell Gregorio, Chanel Glasgow, Nataki Kerr, Wendy Maynard, and all of the people who are ushering and so on, the technical and administrative staff of the Learning Resource Center, whose dedication behind the scenes made this evening seamless and memorable. We extend appreciation to our dancers, Miss Joanna Charles, the choreographer of the piece, Oh Joy, beautifully embodied by the dancers Kyla Perkins, Turon McKellen, and Jade Bishops, who reminded us that the language of dance is a significant ingredient in articulating the inherent complexities that shape and reshape Caribbean. To our vocalist, Joshua Gulcharan, thank you for reminding us that art, when truly embodied, works as a technology of transformation. We stood there and sat there transfixed by his voice to change how we feel, how we bond, and how we apprehend the world. Thank you, Joshua. Finally, to all the attendees, faculty, staff, students, alumni, friends, and for Krisha, family, right? Thank you for joining us tonight. Your presence affirms the relevance of arts and the art in shaping our Caribbean imagination and national identity. As we leave, let us carry forward the spirit of Rex Nettleford to imagine, to dance, and to build culturally confident nation spaces through creativity and agency. Thank you and good evening.
So we have come to the end. Thank you, Dr. Burke, for that rather eloquent end piece. Always, always eloquent. So in a moment, we're going to be closing off and asking and requesting, inviting you all to join each other outside and continue the conversations that had started. Looked like some good heat will be generated outside, so make sure you have some drinks. I don't know what type of drinks, I haven't checked, but check them out. We're also going to say to our viewing audience, thank you very much for joining us for this distinguished lecture, and we say goodbye to them at the moment.